Thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem at all. Happy to be on here.
Well, first off, how did you get into baseball?
I got into baseball, I think I was about 5 or 6 years old. My dad had signed me up for T-ball. I don't remember wanting to play. I remember liking basketball and football, but not knowing too much about baseball. And he kind of just threw me in there, T-ball. I remember being horrible in my first season. I wasn't good at all. Couldn't even hit the ball that was right there on the tee. So it was an experience. I definitely remember my team. I remember I was the Blue Jays, my first little league team, and luckily I got a lot better. So thank God for that.
Yeah, and you definitely did make it into the majors, of course. We'll get into that later. So you mentioned you liked football and basketball. What else really did you want to do as a child, and how did you, entertain yourself back then? I guess.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I just liked playing outside. I loved playing all the sports: basketball, baseball, football. We did like street hockey. We did, always playing tag and all types of games like kickball and dodgeball and all that. So I was always very like an athletic kid. I love sports, love competing. It was always a big part of who I was. So just having the opportunity to play multiple sports growing up, I had the opportunity to compete all the time, and it was something that I saw myself wanting to do later on in life as a professional at some point. So I continued to work hard at it, and baseball was the one I stuck with.
Yeah, kickball is fun.
Definitely love playing kickball.
Hello, mom. And so, in high school, you got drafted out of high school in the 50th round by the Mariners. So, what was that experience like being drafted for the first time, and what led you instead choosing to play college at UNLV?
Yeah, I mean, first it was an amazing experience just to have your name called in a draft and know that you have an opportunity to be a professional. It was a out of body experience, especially at that age, high school. I wasn't even 18; I was 17 at the time, and I just remember like, man, I can give myself an opportunity to play this game for a career. But the decision to go to college was an easy one for me, just because it was something that I had always dreamt of doing, is having that college experience. My parents both went to a 4-year university, so that was always something that excited me, just to have the opportunity to play at that next level and be able to make more friends and be able to meet people from all different types of backgrounds. So that was something that I was excited about. And I was going to be, I grew up in San Diego, so Las Vegas was only 4 hours away from home, so it was like far enough from my parents, but like close enough to where if I ever needed anything, I would be close enough to home. So it was something that I knew that even once I was drafted, I was ready to still go to college, because I was excited about that atmosphere and getting that education, because you never know what can happen with sports. You can always get hurt. Something can always happen in the worst scenario, and you just want to be prepared to have the opportunity to have a successful career in something else.
Yeah, and so, how did UNLV help shape you into the player you became?
I would say one of the biggest things is it helped me build a routine and have some self-discipline. There's You don't have your parents telling you what to do anymore. It's you waking up on your own, setting your own alarm clock, making sure that you go to class, making sure that you go to practice, making sure that you're early enough, but then also making sure that you're putting in the extra work. And that was all on me. So it was a big self discipline factor that went into it. And it taught me a lot about my own motivation. If I'm going to be motivated enough to play at the professional level, I have to take care of business while I'm at the collegiate level. So that was important for me. It taught me to stay focused on my grades, because I have to get a certain grade point average to make sure that I can play, and just continuing to work on my craft. It was important for me to just continue to get better every day so I can give myself an opportunity to get drafted again. And that was the ultimate goal for me. So UNLV kind of instilled all of those things for me, and that came with the coaching, that came with mentors that I had there, that came with all the teammates that I had. and just trying to be a leader as well. It was working toward being a leader for my team, for my community, for everybody that got to be around me. So that was a lot of the things that were important for me at that level.
Yeah, and so you got drafted again, this time by the Cardinals, and 21 rounds sooner. So what was the feeling hearing your name called again, and how you spent 5 years in the minor leagues? So what was that experience like for you, and what challenges did you face to get to the majors?
Yeah, yeah. First, I'm gonna correct you on your math. It was 31 rounds sooner,
Oh,
and and no, but I'm just playing around. It was something to where I knew it was gonna be a grind in the minor leagues, but it was for me to just keep getting better every day, and then give myself an opportunity to get to the major leagues. That was always the main goal, but I knew I couldn't. As soon as I got drafted, I knew I couldn't think, okay, I got to get to the major leagues as fast as possible. I just had to worry about getting better myself every single day. And then I knew I'd give myself an opportunity to be there one day. And it wasn't easy. You go through a long grind in the minor leagues. I was there for 7 years before I got to the big leagues. So it was a lot of bus rides, a lot of 14-hour bus trips, a lot of stopping at 7-Elevens to eat dinner or to eat lunch, because the minor leagues is not pretty. You know, you don't get the same treatment that you get in the big leagues with the 5-star hotels and the big 5-course meals. But at the same time, it pushed me to be able to say, okay, I want to get to that level because there are those things that I can be rewarded with. And for me, it was just a lot of perseverance. It was a lot of just pushing myself to be the best. It was a lot of learning, a lot of asking questions, and a lot of trying to find a way to just work on my weaknesses, because I knew if I could work on my weaknesses and make those into strengths, then I could give myself an opportunity to get to where I wanted to be.
yeah, and I saw looking at your minor league stats, you played for the River Bandits in the Quad Cities for a little bit. I used to live in the Quad Cities, went to a lot of Bandits games, so I found that pretty cool. And so, as you said, minor league baseball, it's a lot like 14-hour bus rides. It's long journey, but, the atmospheres there are really different. So, from MLB, so when you got to the majors, what were some differences you noticed between the minors and the major leagues?
Yeah, the biggest difference that hit me right away was just walking into the stadium and seeing almost like a full stadium all around me. It's even seats in the outfield. I'm looking at the perfect grass on the ground, the perfect dirt, and just an opportunity to kind of soak that all in was huge for me. Because I had never played in a stadium like that. I remember my first game was in Milwaukee at the Brewers Stadium, uh, Miller Park, I believe it's called, and it was like, man, this is surreal. Like, I've never played in a stadium this big, and it was awesome. It was an awesome experience to be able to play in stadiums like that. So that was one of the things that hit me first, and then just the opportunity to fly with the team to these different places. For me, I never really liked flying, but when you're flying with your team, you're flying at the highest level, the major leagues, and you're able to do it with guys that have worked just as hard to get you to get there, just like you. And you can just relax. It doesn't have to be something where you're not getting up at 4 a.m. to go take a flight like you normally would, maybe in AAA. But in the major leagues, you don't have to go through security. You just jump on the plane and go to the next place. So that made it a lot more comfortable for me. Traveling in the minor leagues is one of the toughest things. So when you're able to travel like that in the major leagues, that's something that you can have a lot easier, and it takes some weight off your shoulders, and then you can just focus on playing. A lot of the great things about the major leagues is you're treated like a rock star, so that you can just take care of the things that you need to take care on the field. So that was the cool part for me, and just being able to experience different cities, and do that with my wife was amazing opportunity, and just having fun with it.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned Miller Park there in your first MLB game. I got on TV for the first time there.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, we used to live in a Chicago suburb, so we'd go up to Miller Park a lot. And, it's a great stadium, and like you said, first MLB game there. And that really leads into my next question. So can you walk us through that game, your first one in the MLB?
Yeah, I just remember being super tired because I didn't get much sleep the night before. I was just so excited. I remember getting to the stadium and Mike Matheny, the manager at the time, told me, "Hey, X, you're in there today." So I was all excited. I was pumped. I was anxious. I remember my heart was beating super fast during my first at bat. Just trying to put the ball in play, just trying to make myself not look like a fool, make sure that I showed people that I belonged there, you know. So it was. I remember I didn't get any hits. I was over three. I got hit by a pitch, but just the feelings and emotions going through my body is just like something you've never felt before. Just because you want to be able to perform, you want to do so well, and at the same time you're living in a dream because you've dreamt of being there that moment your whole life. So it was a lot of mixed emotions, and man, I'll never take it for granted because a lot of people can't even say that they've gotten to where they've dreamt to be, you know, let alone the percentages it takes to get to the major leagues. So it's something that I'll never take for granted and something I'll never forget.
Yeah, and so being hit by a pitch, I've always wondered how you guys keep a straight face after you're hit by 90-mile-an-hour pitches. That's impressive. So in your MLB career, you hit a home run, and so this is another thing I've wondered. I mean, what's going through your head when you're rounding the bases, and that was your first career home run as well. So just what's the feeling there?
Yeah, I mean, the feeling is indescribable. It feels like you're on cloud nine. Just to hit a ball, like I mentioned, like the stadium is so much bigger than a normal stadium that I was playing in the minor leagues or had ever played in before. So once you know you hit a ball out of a major league stadium, you know you can hit a ball out of anywhere. So it was cool to have that opportunity. Something I'll never forget as well. Coming around first base, I remember just feeling like I was flying. It was like, man, it was out of body experience. Coming around third base, dapping up my third base coach, Lenny Harris, who was the all-time pinch hit leader. Ichiro Suzuki was on base, so I came at home plate and gave him five. Home plate gave him five. Then Don Mattingly, of course, is the manager for the Marlins. He was my manager at the time. Dapped him up, gave Barry Bonds a hug. He was my hitting coach at the time. So it was just like I was living in a surreal dream moment, and something that I'll never, I'll never get to experience it again. But it was something that I've experienced so many times, but not at that level. So when you get to that level and able to do it there, it means so much more.
Okay, that was an insane story. Not many people can say that they know Ichiro Suzuki. As a Cubs fan, I've seen the Cardinals quite a bit, and you also played for the Marlins. Those uniforms, those orange ones, they're really cool. I really like those. So you spent quite a bit of time in the majors. So what are some of your favorite memories that you've compiled from your time in the MLB?
Yeah, I would have to start first with that major league experience, and then also that opening day experience with the Cardinals in 2014. I believe it was. We clinched in Arizona the division that. Number one in the division, clinched the division, and we partied all in the locker room, doing the champagne and the beers all over everybody, spraying it. So that was a lot of fun, great experience, and my family was there during that time. Another great time was playing against Miami with the Cardinals. And I feel like that was one of my first big games in the big leagues. I think I was 3 for 4, and I really felt like, okay, I'm really helping this team, and I'm able to stay here and really keep working hard and do what I need to do to be on this team. And same with the Marlins. I remember playing against the Mets, and I looked at my name in the lineup, and I was batting fifth, and I had the highest average on the team. And it's just a reminder to you that everything that you've done and worked for is like finally coming into fruition, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, and so back to that home run, you could feel like you can hit it out of anywhere. So you signed with the NC Dinos in the KBO, which I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with now. That was fun. But then you had a really good season in your 2 seasons total there. You had 61 home runs, batting 277. And so, what are some of the differences playing in the KBO versus the MLB? And, 61 home runs, that's impressive.
Yeah, so 61 home runs was always something, I knew I was capable of. I've always been a power hitter. So for me, throughout my career, it was important to just become a better line drive hitter, a better consistent hitter. And that's what I tried to do when I went over to Korea. And the good thing is, one of the biggest differences, I was able to stay on one team who had one goal, and that was to win a championship. And back in the States, a lot of times I would be up and down from the minor leagues to the big leagues. And instead of me just focusing on, okay, let me be great for my team, it was like more of that factor of, okay, let me be good enough to get back up to the big leagues. Let me try to stay here. So I didn't have to worry about that as much when I went to Korea. It was just, hey, let me perform for my team. We're all working toward getting to the playoffs, getting to that championship. So that was the cool thing for me. I think one of the biggest differences, too, was just the language barrier. I didn't know any of the language going into there, and I couldn't read any of their alphabet. Their alphabet is characters. It's not like our normal alphabet. So it was something that I had to get adjusted to there as well, and I had a translator. So luckily he was able to help me out with a lot of things, help me figure out the restaurants to go to, the food to eat, how to call a taxi. I had to learn how to drive over there. We had a car our second year, so that was crazy too. Another adjustment, we had a baby over there. My first son was born in Korea, so that was another experience. So there was a lot of things I had to get adjusted to, but baseball was something that was the easier part. It was the part I had done for a long time, and it was something that was easier for me to get adjusted to.
And I know in Korea they have over there in Asia like a lot of like cheer sections, and it's a very different atmosphere than the MLB. Like, what's that experience like in person there? And what do you think some things are that the MLB can take from Korea and kind of add it into their league?
Yeah, it was thrilling over there. It was amazing just to have that opportunity to be a part of that environment. You have people cheering like it's the Game 7 of the World Series every game. It doesn't matter if they're winning or losing by 10 runs. They're going to be in the game cheering, having a good time. I think one of the things that MLB could take is maybe some of those cheer sections. Maybe they have the songs for the players and everybody's singing the songs. Another thing I thought was pretty cool is some fans can get tables in front of them. So if they have food, they have a nice big table that they can have the food there and enjoy the game. There's even room if you want to put a computer down or whatever, but there's room enough for you to entertain with other people. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, just the environment, the atmosphere is a lot of fun. You don't see a lot of the fans on their phone during the game. They're locked into the game, jumping up and down, cheering, having a good time. You can bring food into the stadium. You can bring your own food or drink. So that's another cool aspect of it. And that just made it a lot more fun for me as a player, because when I see the fans having that much fun, it just brings me the energy and I get to have fun as well.
Yeah, and so back over to America now. So I've always wondered about this. You're the first person I've interviewed who got to play in Wrigley Field, and that's a place that's always been magical for me to just go as a fan. What's the feeling like playing there with the ivy-covered walls and everything else that makes that ballpark different from all the others?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience just being able to do that, because it's so historic. And I think that was something that you know that all the greats played there. You know that you're in presence of so many great people that got to play at that park, on that field. And it's something that I won't forget because, I had my family come to that stadium as well. My brother lives in Chicago, so I always enjoyed playing there. And it was a place where I played well, so I really enjoyed it. And it's something different. You don't get to play at a stadium like that a lot of times. That has that old school factor, that ivy on the fence. So it's really cool to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, and so now into your podcast here, the Extraordinary Athlete podcast. So you started that back in February, I believe. And so what was your motivation for that, and what has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, my motivation was to kind of focus on a couple of different things. One was to give back to athletes and just give them everything that I kind of learned along the way and do that through multiple guests, multiple people in the sports industry. And then also kind of do what you're doing, try to learn how to be a broadcast, try to learn how to, with my communications better, just try to practice on those things because I felt like I could do that with the podcast. So being able to do that has opened up doors for me and opportunities with ESPN, MLB.com, and those things are important to me because I love being able to, give back the things that I've learned, kind of like I mentioned before. And if I'm able to do that through a podcast, if I'm able to do that face to face, if I'm able to do that doing an interview with you, however I can do that is an awesome opportunity for me, and it allows somebody else to learn because that's how I learn. Having a lot of mentors, having people to lean on, ask questions. I feel like those are the things that I love, and I love learning about people's story. So really the podcast has given me an opportunity to learn about other people's story and dive into other people's lives more.
Yeah, and so 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. That's another really good podcast. If you're watching, I really encourage you to go check it out. And so I was listening to it. I love the episode with Jason Hayward as a Cubs fan. That was really cool for me. And so what have you been able to learn from those athletes you've had the opportunity to talk with?
Yeah, I've learned amazing amount of things. I think one of the biggest things is kind of learning how much it takes to really get to where you want to be. A lot of people see the names on the back of the jersey and the lights and all the fame, but really there's so much that goes into it. It's so much practice. It's so much preparation. It's so much routine. It's so many goals that you placed. Just an opportunity every day to get better and to not allow distractions to get in the way. I feel like there's so many times that we can let distractions get in the way as an athlete or somebody in the industry, doesn't matter the career, but these people have allowed me to know, okay, this is how I was able to get past this hurdle. This is how I was able to get past this issue. So you learn different ways that people cope with different things and people that have different environments and different backgrounds. You learn how they navigated those situations in life. And I feel like that's something that I can learn from, and that's something that it's been cool for me to kind of research and document.
Yeah, and so to wrap out the interview here, I always do some would you rather questions, get to know you a bit more off the field. So you up for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so first off, would you rather go skydiving or eat a cricket?
I would much rather eat a cricket. I'm scared of heights, so I don't want to skydive.
Same. Hate planes. I was stuck in 30-minute turbulence during COVID. That was just awful.
Oh, wow.
So I think I know the answer to this question now after that. Would you rather be able to fly or breathe underwater?
Oh, definitely breathe underwater. That would be really cool. I wouldn't mind flying if I didn't have fear of heights, but definitely being able to breathe underwater, you could see everything and look and go so many different places underwater. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, and so the last one I have here is kind of my, I always ask this one, and it is, would you rather eat Mexican or Italian food?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I lived in Mexico last year playing there, so I would definitely go with the Mexican food. I don't have any bias, but I definitely love Mexican food.
Yeah. So, sorry about my dog there, by the way. He's very cute, though. So, yeah, thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, and I had a great time. So, yeah, thank you for checking this out. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see you next time.